Hello and welcome to the Mobile Accessible Games interview series. I'm your host, Aaron Spelker. Mobile Accessible Games is a that's all about mobile accessible gaming, and through our interview series, we interview game developers as well as accessibility influencers. And this week, we're doing something a little bit different. Instead of the one-on-one conversation we normally have with an accessibility influencer, I decided to bring three accessibility influencers for a panel discussion. So we have Michael Gray from Newdeath Gaming, we have Liam Erven, and we have Jesse Andersen from Illegally Cited. So everybody, welcome.
Good to be here again.
Yeah, hey, how's it going?
Thank you,
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah, I've had the great honor to interview each of you individually. So for those who like this panel discussion and want to know more about each individual participant, feel free to go to the YouTube page and look at their individual interviews that we did with them for a little bit more in depth for each person. I'd like to kind of start off, making sure everybody is refamiliarized with each of you. So I just take a few sentences, tell people about yourself, and we'll start off with Michael.
Well, thank you, Aaron. I am just your small YouTuber that basically focuses on iOS rogue-like games, roguelites, and role-playing games of any kind, builders, things like that. I do a little D&D just for fun, and try to have fun doing a few streams for the subscribers, give them something to do, and just having a great time learning from everybody. That's it for me.
Right. So let's go to Liam.
Hi, my name is Liam Erven, and as well as being a content creator and the dreaded term influencer, I am also, I hate that term so much.
Yeah.
I really do. I'm also a developer of audio games for the blind. I've created a couple kind of popular games that I think people may have played once or twice. But I have a keen interest in all things technology and really interest in gaming, and I love to share my passion with others. And I really think that's all it's about is, it's what it's about, having fun and playing games and interacting with others.
Great. Jesse?
All right. Thank you. My name is Jesse Andersen, and I run by day, I work as an assistive technology specialist in the state of Minnesota and primarily work with transition aid students. But outside of that, I run the Illegally Cited YouTube channel and Twitch stream, although I have kind of taken a hiatus on streaming for a little while now. But yeah, I am interested in pretty much all things technology, gaming, accessibility. I cover pretty much on the channel everything from mainstream games, low vision friendly games, PC, console, mobile, a little bit of VR accessibility, and then I also do some work as a technology and games accessibility advocate and consultant work.
You're like the jack of all trades over there.
Yeah, I try to keep busy. I'm like I could nerd out about all this stuff all day, so it's all good.
Well, great. Thank you all for coming and being part of the panel. So just for those who are watching, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask a question and direct it towards one of the panelists. After that panelist answers, we're just kind of open it up to see if there's anything else the other panelists want to add. And we'll kind of go through about, a dozen questions or so. So I'm going to open it up. I'm going to start with Michael, and the question for you, Michael, is, of all the things that you could have done on, YouTube content, why do you do your channel the way that you do it?
But that's a great question. One of the most important things to me is to be able to do everything on my mobile device. It was the first device I learned how to use when I lost my sight. It was the first device that I went through most of my heartache, losing files, trying to learn how to record, trying to learn how to do screen recording, trying to learn how to stream. I learned everything. So I make it my focus to kind of discover everything I can with my mobile device. It's my take everywhere, go everywhere, do everything device. And though I love computers and I love consoles, I kind of focus on mobile right now. And because it was such a learning tool for me in the very beginning of losing, well, I've always had sight loss, I've always had vision things to deal with, disabilities, but just learning it and having a way out of the things about being visually impaired was amazing. to come out of it. And that's why I do my channel. And that's why I focus on mobile devices.
Yeah, the thing I love about your channel too is you have such an upbeat personality and vibe about that channel. It's just kind of, you know, fun to sit back and listen to. It's all positive, all good feels, all let's check this out and have fun together. So for those who haven't you know, visited Newdeath Gaming and Michael Gray's channel, you know, you see a real positive outlook there. You know, the other
Thank you.
panelists, anything, you know, real quick of why you do your channels your way and focus on your particular content?
Sure, I can chime in a little bit. It's kind of funny. I stumbled into the whole YouTube thing kind of by accident. Just kind of when I worked at my previous job, I had other people who like they would watch me play games, especially you know, they couldn't see well enough to play the games themselves, but enjoyed kind of hearing what was going on. A friend of mine and I got hooked on Minecraft for a little while, and ended up wanting to share some of our work. And then I'm like, well, if I'm gonna do this, maybe you know, at the time, over 10 years ago now, there really weren't, at least to my knowledge, there weren't all that many people doing the whole YouTube thing or even streaming thing, that kind of a deal. So I'm like, well, I could set myself aside, you know, by covering things from a legally blind or illegally sighted perspective. And I really was inspired by, I really followed Giant Bomb, and they would do these videos called quick looks where they basically just, you know, it wasn't a pre-scripted thing. They would just start a game, maybe from the beginning or maybe from a point that they wanted to show, and they would just, you know, basically raw footage, and almost like people stream it now. But it was just like, you know, uncut, unfiltered, just here's the game. You get my honest reactions, my honest thoughts. And they kind of really inspired me to do a lot of my Spotlight series videos the way I do. And the upside to that is I don't have to do really hardly any video editing, because I really don't even know how to do video editing very well. So
Yeah, I do everything in one take. It's got to be a one take. That's it.
yeah.
I don't know how to edit anything. Um, Liam, as we kind of turn to you, you know, what is kind of your go-to game for accessibility when you're just looking to chill out and relax and play something? What is it that you pick up and play?
Oh my gosh, there's so many games. Oh my gosh, my go-to. If I want something quick, I will play Escape Beat, which is one of my all-time personal favorite Windows games. It's 15, 20 minutes. It was pretty much written by a guy that had never made a game in his life, never made an audio game in his life, but I really adore it. It's always been one of my personal favorites. It's hard to say though, like as far as like just something to pick up and play, because I am so I jump around from game to game to game. Obviously, a lot of blind people are enjoying Crazy Party. That's something fun to kind of get into. Honestly, I tend to just read a book. To be honest with you, yeah. Sometimes I got to get away from it for a little bit. I just have to read a book.
Now I'm going to guess Michael's go-to game, and that's going to be Lost Vault. Am I right, Michael?
Definitely. I can also throw down with some Beyond the Chiron Gate or Path of Adventure. Those are exceptional.
Me and Michael are tribe members in the Lost Vault together, so he's my chief in our clan.
Yeah, it sounds a little weird, but it's true.
You're my boss.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, exactly. It's really fun. Like I said, I think I really love Lost Vault. One of those games that, like I said, different topic, but I'd like to see it get on the Golden Apple Awards for AppleVis. I mean, it's just, that's an exceptional MMO and totally accessible to the visually impaired.
Yeah, we do voting at the Mobile Accessible Games for Game of the Year, and just quick looking, it looks like Lost Vault is in the lead right now. So it's still got a little 2 weeks from the time of this. When we're recording this for people to still vote. So
please win.
Yeah, it looks like it's in the lead.
Camille Rakowski, I love you.
If you don't mind, could I just interject really quick, because I missed the you had asked a really good question, which is why do you do what you do and everything.
Yeah.
And I'll make it really brief because
Okay,
I mean
go.
I could wax poetic for hours, but I like to do what I do because I think it's fun to share with people. I think it's fun to share games, and I got into it because a lot of sighted people were doing stuff on YouTube, and I'm like, well, I could do it too. So I started doing some Xbox fighting games, and then just kind of branching out, and then realizing, wait, I could share audio based stuff, and that's how I've kind of grown my following.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of the same way of it, what I really want to do is get information out to the blind community, just make it easier. Like I just enjoyed gaming so much throughout my life. It's just been such a great, relaxing, pastime and a great distraction. And I always felt like, blind people who might get frustrated or not think, there's many games they can play. All we can do is text adventure games, and that's all they play. And that, I wanted to show them that there's a wide variety, many, many different genres of games to play, and make sure that they were aware of them, and just help them get the exposure to those games. So it's all kind of about sharing and educating. um, Jesse, as I kind of turn to you, what accessibility advancement that's either out right now or on the horizon kind of get your juices flowing, get you excited.
Yeah, great question. I would say there's two that really kind of tie together, especially when it comes to well, bigger games and even indie games. So many games are becoming more complex. Before you had like, oh, you had a racing game, you had a shooter, you had a role-playing game, you had whatever. But now, like everything, like a lot of the genres have sort of blended together. And because of that, like even your action games and stuff now, like you have so many screens where like, oh, I have like character development, so I need to have my inventory screens, my skill trees, my perks, my quests, my, any number of different things. And so really having more games starting to include text to speech for a lot of their menu and UI user interface stuff, like all those things that I was talking about, is extremely, extremely helpful because the more of that stuff that's out there, even being low vision, I kind of shy away from games that have especially a lot of text because that's one of the harder things for me to see and for me to read. So it just really slows me down, especially for games where I need to, stop and, like I said, look at my inventory or choose another perk or an upgrade or whatever. And I'm always just half the time in these menus. And we've seen several games in the last couple of years starting to include that. And the other thing that kind of ties in is a lot of these. I like to play a lot more action style games, first person, third person action. Like, they could be a linear game, an open world game. But, once we had things like The Last of Us 2, and then The Last of Us 1, and even God of War to some extent, and even some games that were doing it more visually before those happened, having a more clear in-game navigation assist, like, hey, hit a button and I get an arrow pointing where the heck it is I'm supposed to go for whatever objective that I'm going toward, whether it's like arrows along the ground or a line on the ground, like a breadcrumb trail. Those are extremely helpful because even like I said, with low vision, the the games are so graphically detailed now, which is great. But that can actually make it harder with low vision to be able to make out that one thing that I'm supposed to be finding or that one path I'm supposed to be going. So that would be my,
Did
yeah.
you, Jesse, did you ever play Fallout?
Oh, I played far too much Fallout 3. I don't even, yeah.
Well,
Oblivion and Fallout 3, a little bit of New Vegas, Fallout 4. Yes, I
yeah.
sucked many, many hours away into those.
Yeah, so that they're the vans, the virtual assistant navigation system, which lets you like select a quest and then it puts a big yellow line on the ground that you can follow. That's, for those who might have some low vision, still some usable vision. That's a great assistant to, help you figure out where you're supposed to go and how to, navigate.
Mhm.
Even if you think you might be stuck somewhere, the yellow line kind of guides you out of, where you are. Um, I would love to see them do some, even more with that with the next iteration of Fallout, where maybe you can add some sound to it as you kind of are on the path that, you know, gives you a solid tone. As you start moving away from it, it starts, you know, doing a beeping that's
I'm
farther apart. So that
I'm so praying that Starfield has some of that, because I'm probably going to get sucked into that one too.
yeah. So Liam, you know, there's obviously been, as Jesse was just talking about, there's you know, lots of great stuff and you know, advancements in accessibility through
Yep.
what's happening in Last of Us and things like that, and lots of, you know, more, you know, awareness that's going on. But on the flip side, you know, we've been seeing, you know, over the course of this year, there's been a lot of layoffs at tech firms, and unfortunately, what seems to be the first thing on the chopping block seems to be accessibility department. So,
Yeah.
you know, what are your feelings about, you know, that trend, and what that means for, you know, accessibility and, you know, gaming and just, you know, accessibility and technology at large?
I mean, it's definitely very disconcerting, because obviously, I mean, for those that don't know, and I mean, just your 30-second primer. So, a lot of people just magically think that, oh, well, you know, a company can go make a game accessible, and unfortunately, it doesn't just work that way. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and a lot of just behind the scenes, like project management and everything. So it is really disconcerting. I have not heard of anything directly affecting people that I know. Doesn't mean that it hasn't affected them. But I mean, it's disconcerting, especially when I felt like we were really making strides forward. So Jesse had mentioned what, you know, his advancements were. My advancement, honestly, is not so much a technical thing, but it's more of a company mindset. So whenever a
Yes.
company goes, hey, we want to do something, that to me is a huge advancement. It's the culture shift is huge. And it's not, you know, it's not pretty or you know, sexy or whatever, but like, it's important, because when somebody goes, hey, we're interested, that's a huge you know, that's a huge step forward. And actually, I can wax poetic about that on the next question down the line. But I would say for me, versus it being a particular thing like VR or, you know, the golden path, as people call it, to me, it's just a company going, hey, we're interested, because I think that opens the door to so much.
100% agree.
You know, this isn't gaming related, but, you know, a blow this week for me was I used the navigation system Soundscape by Microsoft,
Oh,
and
yes.
Oh my gosh, I heard about this.
That
Yes.
sucks.
yeah, it is. It, you know,
Oh.
is of all the navigation systems, I think it is, you know, far above the other ones, just on its 3D audio sound, on where it does prompting. It lets you do
Yes.
customize marker tags. So like if, you know, there's a break in the sidewalk, you know, like a damaged sidewalk, you can tag it so that, you know it's coming up. And like
For those that don't know, sorry, Aaron, I'm not
Echo.
trying to overrun your. But for those that don't know, Microsoft is shuttering Soundscape. Was it
Right.
January 20th?
Well, January, I think January 3rd, it's, you can't download it from the App Store anymore. And then
Okay.
June 30th, even
Right.
if you have it, it's going to be
Oh,
discontinued.
so it is.
Yep.
Okay, so it is
Yep.
June. Okay.
And yeah, and that was just a blow. I mean, when I saw that
Oh.
news,
I was
just,
surprised.
yeah, and
That's
particularly,
very disappointing to hear.
yeah, I mean, they're opening up the code as open source so other people can kind of take it and run with it. But you know, I would love them to just be like, but we'll still leave the app out there. We won't do any updates to it, or we won't add any new features. But you know, it's out there. Just
Unfortunately, I
let it
don't think it's something that a lot of people knew about or used, which is really unfortunate, because I would agree with you that I think it has a lot of really good potential.
Yeah, no, Soundscape was so good. Audio beacons, like even, you know, to kind of really narrow you into a storefront. You know, like you have a store and there's like 5 doors. It would
Oh,
get you, the
yeah.
audio beacon would pull you right into the right door of that particular establishment. It also had, you know, route creation. So if you wanted to be like, well, I got to go first to this store, then that store, then this store, you could, you know, put in those 3 destinations, and then it would guide you just like if you had a multi-stop GPS in a car. It was just really, really user friendly and had a lot of great features. And so that's one that, you know, makes me concerned of, you know, if Microsoft, you know, who's really accessibility focused, is willing to let that die on the vine, or are we, is that, you know, the canary in the coal mine of, with all these other accessibility layoffs at Twitter and places like that. Are we, have we hit the peak? It was so much focus on it. It was, but are people, turning their eye to the next trendy thing that's going to catch some headlines, and accessibility is going to be back on the back burner? Any concern on that? I'll open that up to the whole panel. Liam said some stuff about it, but Jesse, Mike, your thoughts?
I have some thoughts about Soundscape. It was the first kind of walking app I was trained on with my O&M instructor back in 2018 when I had no vision to walk around with. I used Soundscape to locate coffee shops and local karaoke bars and to go to the supermarket. And my O&M instructor, we basically worked on that. I could rename places. The beacon was very accurate. And I really hate to see that go, because there's some other apps like, I think it's called Blind something.
Blind Square.
Blind Square, yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, Blind Square. I love Blind Square, but I've also had a special place in my heart for Soundscape just because of the way it worked. It's like a video game. And, they do that, giving you that sleep shade thing in the instruction schools for those who are visually impaired. And you were allowed to use Soundscape to move around the city. And I really enjoyed it. It's really sad to hear that it's going to be shuttered.
I am too. I mean, I live in the country. I live in there hills, but it really is very unfortunate.
Yeah, it's one of those apps that I've played with it, and I used it a little bit before the whole pandemic thing, but then after that it's like, oh, I don't really have to go anywhere anymore, because I go into the office every once in a while, but I'm largely working from home now, which is awesome, by the way, because we've been getting dumped on literally today by a bunch of snow. So
I heard that.
But yeah, so it's really sad to see those kind of things. I am kind of curious to see what's going to happen, with it going open source, and if someone will kind of branch off and sort of make their own thing
it makes you
with
wonder,
it. And then I've heard,
pick it up or try to
I don't know,
technology until
turn it into an RPG.
I was literally just going to say, someone on Twitter had said, well, maybe someone could make an augmented reality game with it, like Pokemon Go for blind people.
Can we have Blindymon Go?
Yeah. Manamon Go.
You should trademark that right now.
Okay, hold on. Going to Google.
Yeah.
We get a cut.
So,
Yeah.
I'll
test.
This is the downer part of this interview, so I'm going to turn it to Michael, who's my constantly positive person. So, Michael, what was some good news around accessibility that you were excited about that came out this year?
Oh my goodness. One of the things is that several games started getting a little bit better at creating things like their hyperlinks and their tutorials. There were some changes there. Games started integrating music and sound effects and ambience, and we stopped getting that brick wall of if there's a bug, let's not do anything. You brought mobile accessible games, which really, I think, helped a lot of people to get what I call the Jesse Andersen positive attitude that developers got to eat. So let's support developers. Let's just not look at this as a one-sided thing. You do for me, but let's do for them also. I got to say, the community has turned a corner when it comes to supporting developers and being willing to understand that not all games can be free and successful, and not everything that's out there for our community needs to be just one product. We have a lot of people on the spectrum, lots of different things that all of us can or won't or can do or don't want to do or don't enjoy. We've opened up the market for people in the community, in the blind and visually impaired community, to enjoy all kinds of games. I've watched Liam's, I have a lot of questions about the marathon, but because I have Liam all to myself here, so, sort of, but I love that we have opened up people who are visually impaired into the mainstream, and we're being recognized in the mainstream in conferences and development, and we're being asked for our opinion. And and I mean, I basically cut my teeth on watching Jesse's videos, his spotlights, his dooms. Like I said, I wanted to throw that question out to Jesse, his doom. I've fallen asleep to listen to Jesse's doing. That's not a bad thing. That's a compliment. If you can fall asleep to a YouTuber, you just made my algorithms great. I've fallen.
I have mine too. Yep. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I love your Doom thing. I did not grow up. I was already grown. It's pretty old. But I just listened to his Doom, and I love that. Same as I like watching Liam do Swamp because it's incredibly entertaining. But yeah, I just
even when I do ASMR Swamp.
I love it though. It's fun. It's just really fun because you make it fun, especially when dogs are trying to kill you. So it's the same thing with Jess. Jess is getting bombed on. But yeah, I mean, we've come out of that shell of folks who are visually impaired just do one kind of game. We're either ATI or we're just playing a text-based game. And now we've got the Jim Totillos, we've got the John Alifs, we've got some of the best games out. We've got Fable Tree. We've got so many studios out there trying to do something, and they're looking to people who are blind and visually impaired to interact with first instead of last. And I think that's a big deal. Pretty sure.
I would totally agree with you, and I'm glad you brought that up because that is one trend. I just got done literally recording kind of my end of year wrap up series videos that I'll introduce, right after Christmas. And that is one of the things that I really kind of noticed is that whether it's games that are designed specifically for blind visually impaired audiences, which are great, but I also love the trend of having a lot more mainstream games that sighted and blind players can play alike or play together, and a lot more genres. You're not pigeonholed toward text-based games like you said, or fighting games, which has traditionally been the main couple that blind players have been able to play. But now we have things, whether it's a game that's natively made to be accessible, or you have the mod scene, so you have things like Hearthstone Access or Stardew Access, or the Toby Accessibility Doom mod. But like all those things, and then just also like As Dusk Falls, which is kind of this like a telltale adventure game with a really, really good story, by the way. If you have not played that, ooh boy, highly recommend it. It is so good.
That's console only, right?
Console and PC.
Console.
Yeah, it's on PC as well.
Yeah, it's on PC. I played the PC version, but I downloaded it for the Xbox so I can get some achievements and play a different. Because the thing is, it's got a lot of replayability with all the branching story paths that you can choose depending on your dialogue. So I'm gonna probably play through that again.
Yeah, I mean, for the mobile accessible games, you're talking about genres. We really try to find different genres of games to play. So I don't want to one review 20 text adventure games because there's more out there for us, and I don't want to do all role-playing games because that's what I really like. So I really work hard to be like, what have I not reviewed lately, or oh look, I just found something that's I haven't ever seen a first-person shooter, and now I got one, and I'm going to review that as my first-person shooter game that I've reviewed. So I'm always looking for new genres to do because I want, like I said at the very beginning, I want people to realize that there's more than Dice World and text adventure games for blind people to play. There's a whole wide variety of genres that are out there for us. So this question I'm going to really kind of put out to everybody. I'm going to start with Liam though. You guys have been doing lots of great work of reaching out to the blind community through your YouTube channels and doing walkthroughs and playthroughs and reviews and things like that. But let's talk about some of the more formal work that you do in accessibility when you work with developers or conferences. So tell people some of the other things that you're doing that goes beyond the YouTube channel.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm excited about this because this year has been really good. So I've got two big things right now. The big one, really the big exciting flashy one has been Jackbox Games. I've actually been to Jackbox. Yeah, I can't talk today. I've been to Jackbox Games twice this year. I'm hoping to be more of a presence there next year. We've got some really cool stuff that we're working on. And it's been really an honor to actually been able to go in and sit down and work with them. And actually I got to work with them, which was really cool. I got to, sit at a desk and run through debug code and actually run games line by line and see what they did and see how we can improve it on a screen by screen basis.
Cool.
How about you, Jesse?
Yeah, this year, the last couple of years have been actually surprisingly a lot of fun. And like I said, doing the YouTube channel, a little bit of the Twitch thing, but people have reached out to me through Twitter or through email, and I've worked with a couple of mobile developers here and there. I've done a few things with Microsoft and Ubisoft over the last couple of years. There's a couple other projects I can't really talk about just due to NDA type of things. But yeah, I mean, like what the other guys were saying so far is like it's such a really cool thing. When like it could be a one-person team, it could be this ginormous game company that they're reaching out to you, and the fact that they're interested and they want to learn and they want to make their products more accessible. And then, like I said, I've also been working with Microsoft's Low Vision Advisory Board. I've been doing that for a few years. XR Access, which is an organization kind of where we're devoted to trying to make virtual and augmented reality more accessible. I've been into that since the Oculus Rift originally came out, and that's got its own set of battles and challenges, but when it works, it's amazing. So yeah, definitely it's been a really fun year, and I'm curious to see what next year is going to bring.
I've also been working too with some smaller developers too, and I think like whether it's big or small,
Yeah.
I think the work is equally important. I mean, obviously, it's nice to like throw around a name like Jackbox, and it's cool. But also, this week there's a new game, and I think it's going to come to iOS, and I don't know what the accessibility will be like. And again, it's another text adventure, but I think it's really kind of cool, and it's really cool and retro. Alex Leone has been working on this game called Upheaval. And he's actually gone out of his way to add accessibility, and he created a Windows console version. And I know there's an Android version, which I haven't had a chance to play with yet, but I think he's working on getting it on iOS as well. And it's kind of a cool. It's like you have 30 days to explore the lands and do things, and everything's kind of like procedurally generated, and it's kind of a cool. It reminds me of like those old 90s kind of DOS style games, where it's all menu driven, and maybe even some of the old Apple games too. And he's been really, really supportive. Also, Jesse's from your neck of the woods. He's up there in Minnesota. And,
nice.
Really cool dude. And he's been super, super interested in accessibility. He'd followed me on Twitter, and I reached out to him, and I was like, hey, your game looks really cool. Are you looking at doing accessibility? He goes, yeah, I want to do a console version. Can you help me test it? And so I was playing with it, and it was really kind of cool. He just put out a public release a few days ago, and I've been really hyping that up. It's called Upheaval, and I would recommend checking it out. It's on itch, so no crazy Steam key stuff going on. Just download and play.
I also want to just give a quick shout out, cheap plug. One thing I forgot to mention, of course, so it's surprising, but I have to give a shout out to Mr. Alan D1 because he is the man. We've got a game that celebrated literally a few days ago, celebrated its 29th birthday, and Doom, the Toby Accessibility mod. He's the creator of the Toby Accessibility Doom mod that tries to make Doom and Doom 2 more playable, and he's got some upcoming even more features and fixes coming. But it's been so cool working with him the last couple of years on that.
How does the Toby mod make Doom more accessible? Like what are the features that it's putting in there?
So what it does, what it does is right now you're not playing vanilla Doom levels because there are extra little things that have to be put into the level so that different things can be identified. So doors and switches and different things like that. But what he's done so far is, I mean, he would love to be able to make it so that, your regular Doom levels could be playable. But he's made, basically there's several map packs that he's made. And there's a Toby Deluxe 1 and 2 map packs, which are, they're basically modified a little bit versions of levels based on Doom 1 and 2 respectively. And you have things like when you're moving around, you can do it with keyboard only, you can do it with keyboard and mouse, and when you're turning, you will, like, when you hear, like, enemies will have more constant sounds. So like, a demon, you'll hear them kind of growling constantly, so you can kind of center. And when you center your gun on them, you'll hear like a little beeping, like a targeting
Right.
to say, okay, you're locked on.
Gotcha.
There's a compass. There's, where you can say, okay, I'm going north, northeast, southwest. There's collision detection, so you hear when you're butting against a wall. That's one of the things that he's going to be modifying a little bit to make some of that, like the bumping into a wall noise, a little bit less obnoxious in a way, because it's really pronounced right now. But it's a really interesting challenge, because having been playing Doom visually for the past 29 years, it's one of, if not my favorite games ever. But even playing levels that I'm pretty much familiar with, and I've done streams where I've played them with my monitor off, or with trying to play them blind. There is definitely because the levels are labyrinthian, they're maze like, and they're intentionally that way. So you have to be really good about checking your compass regularly, making a mental map of like, oh, okay, there was that door over there that had the armor. Oh, I went past this red key door. And I know like some players have had some trouble with it, because there isn't really any sort of like major waypoint guiding system. It's kind of up to you to kind of use your compass and build your mental map through the levels. And like I said, he's working on some other stuff too. But it's just been a really fascinating thing, to where in the beginning you pretty much they didn't have as many of the audio cues in, and you kind of had to play in God mode or invincibility mode, just because it wasn't quite optimized. But now, like, I was playing on, without that on, and I did beat a fair bit of the first map pack level. So yeah, I mean, it's so cool to
You
see
know,
something that has been,
Well, I know what I'm playing
inaccessible for
next
so
year.
long. What's
you know,
that?
it'd be cool there too. Since
Yeah.
it's hard to memorize the map. It would be cool if you were, when you enter a room, you had the option that you could name that room, so it would kind of announce, a room that you
Oh,
found. You know,
I think so too, because obviously, I mean, certain rooms like in Doom had features, and whether it was like, I don't know if it was a skeleton or something, but like
right?
you kind of knew going around the map, like there were things you could
yeah.
be like, oh, I remember this room. This
And
had
he does add audio cues. So like, things that are ambient, like there are some rooms have kind of like audio, like a computer console, like some, you hear some computer humming, or there'll be water running, or there'll be like a torch. So you'll hear some ambient sounds of like, oh, I hear two torches burning, or I hear that has like a little fountain in the middle, or whatever.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I like the name idea, just because then you could realize like, oh, I just found something new. Like
Hmm.
I, because you could have two different rooms that both have two torches in them. You know what I mean?
yeah. I
Yeah,
Sure.
love it. I love a simple textual description of a room with a torch,
yeah,
like just because stuff that you might see.
yeah. That's kind
You
of
could
bringing that audio description into the
Yeah,
game. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
I didn't. I think I tried it a couple of years ago, and I have no sense of direction. But it sounds like I need to revisit this.
Yeah, I mean, it still can be tricky, but it has definitely progressed. Like, I started working with them a little bit on it around 2019, 2020, and it has added a lot of extra cues and things since. And like I said, he's working on adding more. The only tricky thing about adding things like room descriptions, and there's been other things that he's wanted to add, but again, you're working with a 29-year-old engine, and it's like, well, yeah, GZ Doom has a lot of things you can do with it, but there are inherently limitations that either make certain functionality or features either really impractical or impossible to be able to do, just because it's built on an engine that's, well, almost 30 years old.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Michael, I know beyond your YouTube page, I know you've gotten friendly with lots of developers and talk to them about changes and advancements in their games. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that, or other things that you're doing beyond your YouTube page?
Yeah, definitely. I've worked with a couple of really, really good solo, I call them solo devs, single devs, just to be a little funny. I've worked with Charlie Seligman, did Sortie Quest. I think we've literally spoken, just personally for hours talking about how we can make his games as accessible as possible. And when you're dealing with a really motivated, caring, compassionate, and empathetic kind of developer like Charlie Seligman, you see what the product you get. You get a community that's not only getting involved, but you have a developer who is basically treated like a god by people who can appreciate what he does, but also he gets spoken to in a way that people give him good feedback. Now, yes, he deals with also the community, and mind you, no one has ever accused me of being delicate about certain topics, but he's worked with people, he's worked with the community, and that is not an easy thing to do. And he's laid his soul bare to make what he does work for the blind and visually impaired community. I worked with Hans Jord of Solar Island. I tested. I don't have any expertise in coding, but I worked with him on how the game works, and I tested from the very beginning of that game, and I enjoyed it very much. Did I want it to go in a little different direction, more RPG? Yeah, I'd love for it to go more RPG, Hans. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. But yes, I love everything that he's doing because he's adding all these really cool events. And I was the person who suggested adding events because he had this really rock solid 3D like engine, and you can walk through these atmospheric things. And I go, hey Hans, I want to swim with sharks. He's like, why would you want to swim with sharks? Like, that's what I like to do. I want to get in there. I want to hear more birds. I want the birds pecking my eyes out. So he's really getting in there, and he's listening to community, which is what we want. We want the developers communicating with the people who are going to primarily love these games and play these every day. I enjoyed airing your interview with Jordan Key. Jordan Key knows I'm a stalker, so
Path of Adventure.
Yeah, Path of Adventure with Jordan Key. Jordan Key knows I've been begging him to do a part 2 of that game. I'm a potential stalker of Jim Totillo because I love Zombie Exodus. And John Aliff, he's already blocked me on Twitter. No, yes, I'm just kidding. John Aliff knows I talked to him quite a bit about Beyond the Kyron Gate because I'm a big roguelike fan. So role-playing games, text-based games, games that are not simple choice games are very much what I'm looking for. I mean, those are the games that I play for my subscribers. And I was just mentioning something that Jesse mentioned, something about Doom, and that you mentioned, Leon, about mapping rooms. And I was just thinking, the Eldrum system of telling you when you've already done something could be applied to when you've already gone down a corridor. It could say, you've gone down this corridor before, and it could bring up a couple of sound effects that can mute themselves slightly or grade down. I was just thinking about that because when you mentioned Eldrum does such a great job, they have 2 titles, Untold and they have Red Tide. They've done a great job of telling you when you've already done something before. But yeah, I really love working with developers. And of course, Camille Rakowski is the person that I am eagerly hoping to work with because I think his game Lost Vault has an enormous amount of potential. It's one of the most accessible MMOs out there. I mean, it rivals games like the big AAA rated Warcraft because you're getting exactly what you get in Warcraft, except minus a few crafts and a little bit of open world exploration. I mean, with a little bit of tinkering, it could be just as good, if not better, and totally accessible. So, gotta love working with single devs, solo devs. They're amazing.
Great customization in Lost Vault of creating your character, the way that you want to create it.
Oh yeah, he keeps updating it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just added a new update, so you can log in. And here's the thing about what I mentioned before: hyperlinks and the ability to switch between accounts and multiple saves. That's your best friend. Devs are starting to finally institute that. If I'm a player and I am playing these games, you've got to give me more than just one shot. I am not a big fan of just one save slot. I've got to do multiple playthroughs, right? You got to have multiple playthroughs. One for yourself, one for your subscribers, and one for your Patreon. You got to have one for your Twitch. You got to have both, and one for your hardcore pyramid runs when you're doing roguelike challenges. I just can't do one playthrough, But thank you. Great question.
So Jesse, Michael is great at hunting developers down and getting them to make changes to their game for accessibility. But what would you recommend for the average Joe on getting their voices heard to the game developers?
Well, I think really social media can be such a hugely powerful tool. Looking a company up on the internet, looking on their website, if you're looking at something through Steam or the App Store or whatever platform that things are released on, look up their company, see if they have an email address, see if they have a Twitter account. And if you follow them, sometimes you're even able to direct message them. I know I've reached out to, indie developers. I've reached out to, AAA developers, anything in between. And even if it's a game that I'm not sure that I'm able to play, like there's, I just did this a couple days ago. There's a game that's coming out that just seems like ridiculously detailed to the point of like they released this developer video for the Hogwarts Legacy game that's coming out next year. That's just this huge open world game that's just insanely detailed. And I was curious if there's going to be any accessibility. I haven't heard back from them yet, but I was just like, hey, I'm curious about whether you're announcing all these things. Is there going to be any accessibility? If there's a game that's already out, reaching again out to a developer, and asking them, don't be insulting, but you can be assertive and you can be constructive, but like, say, hey, I'm interested in this type of game. I would love to be able to play it. Are there any plans to add accessibility features, or would you be willing to work with someone or like myself who would be able to help you figure out how to make your title more accessible? And then I've had people, like I said, companies and individuals reach out to me. It's been really, really fun working with indie developers. Like Lost and Hound is another one that
Yes,
it's a really neat little
Brian's
game.
great.
Yeah, so just little things like that. I mean, I think just really, and that's why, with like the whole Twitter fiasco of late, I really don't want that platform to really disintegrate, because for me, I can't tell you how helpful that platform is, because what I like about it is that it's decentralized. You can follow me, I can follow you. We may or may not have to follow each other, but we can look at what each other is saying. We can look up hashtags or topics or just kind of do searches on things. And it's just a really open way. It's kind of like people have compared it to like a town square type of deal. And it has been just like, I have gotten so many just off the wall opportunities in the last 5 years or so, anything from consulting gigs, interviews, podcast appearances. Heck, I had a girlfriend for a little while that we were talking about, and we kind of started talking on stream and Twitter. So like I said, it's just been such a huge tool that I hope that it does maintain its accessibility and that platform doesn't explode, because it has just been super helpful for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree. It's been, that's upheaval. I met him through Twitter. It was just, he found me and then we started talking, and it was really kind of fun. Actually, my favorite thing of the whole upheaval thing was Alex goes, yeah, let me know if you're going to stream it. I'll try to get you some viewers. And in my head, I'm just like, bro, I think you got a little backwards. I think I'm going to get you the people. But no, Twitter has been such a great resource. And I just want to echo what Jesse said, which is, listen, reach out to developers. Be kind. Mm-hmm. Be kind. Don't be mean. Don't be rude. But be kind and say, listen, I am blind. I enjoy your work and I'd love to play it. What can we do to make that happen? And reach out. Also, if there's a game that you're really interested in, get your friends to work with you. Everyone write letters. Listen, this is why we're getting Blizzard to look at Hearthstone, because of Hearthstone Access and the fact that he wants to move on and he can't continue to write it. Yes, other people are working on it, but Blizzard's like, hey, listen, we'll take this up. It's going to take us a little while, but we're going to do it. The only way that you will get change is through a number of voices. One person cannot make change. It's just not, you can't do it. The only time that one person can make change is at the grocery store. Otherwise, you have to band together. You have to work together. Groups have to get together. And again, you have to be polite. It is not going to help the community if you are demanding. But if you ask, if you say, listen, we know people that can help you, we're interested, that's the best thing that you can do. But be kind.
The tip I have for, because a lot of people might be like, well, how do I find these people? And, with Twitter is one way, as Jesse mentioned, but in the App Store, if you go to the App Store for the game and go past the reviews, there is a link that says support. And if you click on that link, it usually either brings you to the developer's website, which you can usually find contact information, or sometimes it pulls up an email, and you can just start composing an email to whatever their IT support for that game is. So that's a quick, easy way if you're not sure how to reach somebody. I'd say 8 times out of 10, I just go to that and I get an email link to somebody.
And one thing to know about developers, and I will say this as a developer, as someone that writes, developers want to make their stuff accessible. They want the most people to be able to play it as possible. Sometimes they cannot do it, and that's due to economic reasons. That's just due to manpower reasons. But you'll be surprised the number of people that genuinely are interested. They may not always be able to make it happen, and that does not make them bad people. That does not make the company a bad company, but they are interested.
I want to definitely say those are 100% the greatest reasons why, that they are really trying their best, like Liam said. I mean, they're really trying to bring games to the community, blind, visually impaired community. And like Jesse always says, developers have to eat. And I've always kept that philosophy in mind when it comes to my channel. I mentioned to everyone on my channel, I don't believe in free games. I do believe in helping developers create. And if developers create with a tip jar, if developers create with a free sample, which a lot of developers are doing right now for games that are accessible, they're giving you a chapter in 1, 2, 3 hours. I can look at a couple of games, just like Planet Life, I think recently. I took a look at that game. I did a first listen on that game, and I had a couple of channel friends mention, hey, this is a great game. I said, well, it's not my total cup of tea, but then I'm always down for anything that is an exploration, anything that's an adventure, anything that's role playing. And I turned out that I really like it, and I really got into it. And you can donate to developers. If you're out there in our communities, you have a few dollars. If you have even more than that, I think Jesse's always mentioned that. If you have more and you can give, I've always kept that philosophy of my channel. I've kind of adopted that philosophy. If you can give, please give. It really helps them. And any person can give to a developer by buying and purchasing the full version of the game. Hey, there's nothing wrong with visiting. I hear a lot of people be negative about things like, oh, it's a paywall. Well, the game costs money. But not to be really naggy about this, but I do believe if you want developers to make great games, let's support them where they live, which is financially affording all the things that iOS wants them to do, all the changes you need to make. They're doing this on their own time. Many of these folks have 2, 3 jobs, families, college loans to pay back, and they have jobs to do. They've got cats, dogs, they've got teenagers.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as a developer, I have other things I have to do too. So it's like I want to make things for you because I love making, but I also need to be I have to get something for my time.
You do. You need to be compensated.
I could go do something else, but I want to do what I do, but I need your help. So it's the same.
Think about this too. I mean, 90% of the games are probably under $5.99. I mean, and you'll get hours of play time out of that game. So, I mean, you'll go to the movies for more than $5.99. You'll buy a cup of coffee for more than $5.99. Like,
I mean, count yourself
that.
lucky that mainstream games. The whole hubbub recently is a lot of your AAA mainstream games. They've gone from 60, and with the current generation now,
like 70 now.
They're moving around on average to $70. So, no, sighted people, like if you want to support your gaming addiction, I play a lot of mainstream games, and yes, I wait for a lot of sales, and I do things like Game Pass and things like that, but No, gaming is not a cheap thing, and if you want to be in the thing, there's definitely going to be a few costs involved with it. But
Yeah, and keep in
also, I
mind that
would say
your indie iOS devs are not buying a yacht with the
no.
sales they're getting. I mean,
They're not even doing it full time.
they're
support.
lucky if they're probably lucky if they're breaking even. Because remember, I think something that a lot of people don't realize is that Apple is charging you to put a game up there. It's $100 a year.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
30% cut.
And,
right?
and so if you don't know that, I mean, just something to keep in mind. If you take away one thing from this thing, that like that game that you play, that costs somebody money to make. Like that literally costs someone $100 per year.
And
That's not a one-time thing. That's per year.
And that's why, I've heard like so many times, I literally just had a comment in one of my videos the other day where someone's like, can you tell me where I can still find a way to play audio defense? I'm like, I really can't. But that particularly, like, when I say things in my videos, it's like, yes, developers need to support themselves, but honestly, that is a lot of there. People kind of wonder why developers, especially ones that are developing specifically for blind and low vision players as their primary audience, it is really, it's kind of a niche market. So it's a really hard thing to kind of, you might be able to get a game or two out there, but over time, are you able to support and sustain yourself? And so even if you can't support them right now financially, I would also say reach out to your favorite game creator, your favorite creator, your content creator, whatever. Like there are times where I've gotten literally, I got a comment a couple of weeks ago from someone who was like, man, I used to play games. I thought when I lost my vision that I couldn't play them anymore. And then I started seeing some of your videos and it's like, hey, now I realize that I can do what I used to really enjoy. And little things like that can even keep you going too.
Yeah, we love to hear from people. I mean, we really do, because it's like we're here. I think obviously we do it because we like to do it, but at the end of the day, we're here for you. Like, I mean, if you're listening to this, right? Like, we are here for you. We're here to entertain you. We're here to teach you. We're here to like help you have a better life. And you can have a better life through gaming. So reach out. Let us know that you're watching. Say hello. I mean, that's what we're here for.
Liam's drinking sweet corn soda.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm torturing myself for you. I had the soda concoction from Heck for you. But
some of those that you had were just brutal, dude.
They
That
were
was disgusting.
I can't remember what some of them. I didn't even know you could.
And at the end, all the sodas got mixed into a pitcher, and I had to drink out of the pitcher.
Yep. Did you throw up?
Almost did.
Yeah.
I came very close.
That was on your marathon, I assume?
Yeah, I was at the end. It's actually a separate video. The marathon, by the way, was amazing. If you guys missed it, it was so much fun. It was, I think, like over 30 hours of gaming. People were awesome and they donated. And let me just tell you, that helps immensely. As you guys know, I just moved. It's helping kind of while I get stabilized here, pay for things. It's just helping me be able to bring you guys more content, and just the love that, I mean, it's so fulfilling. The love that I get from people that enjoy the stuff that I do is astronomical, and it makes me, I think a year ago, I think I almost broke down and cried because I was going through a lot of my stuff. My grandma had just had a seizure and everything, and just the love and outpouring that I get from people is amazing, and I love what I do. And so it's wonderful. And it's sorry to really take this. I know we're like just going in random directions at this point, but that's because we're all comfortable with each other. We're all friends. We should all hang out.
I have like probably once a month, I hold myself back from writing the post that says, am I making a difference? Does anyone care what I'm doing? Like
they do. Yeah. Listen, I mean,
I always
that's
delete
why I say,
it, like I'm sounding needy. I gotta delete.
If you enjoy what someone does, take that moment, like that quick moment, and just email them and be like, you know what? I appreciate what you do. I love what you do. Thank you for being here. Thank you for, drinking sweet corn soda for our amusement. Like,
are you gonna get the buffalo wing one next? Are you gonna get the buffalo one? Because I do want to.
That was honestly, it tasted more like Orange Crush. It really didn't taste like buffalo wing.
And the mustard?
That was the one that I was disappointed with. Yeah, everything else tasted like what it tasted like. The sweet corn soda tasted like cold corn. Ew. If you've ever drank the cold juice out of a corn can, which I have, unfortunately.
Mm,
That's what it tends to
I
like.
have too. I think we've all been down that road once.
I think we all have, you know.
Liam, it shows in what you do, what Jesse does, also what Aaron does. It shows in how you speak to people on your channel that you make them feel inclusive. You greet everyone, you know. And I haven't forgot about Jesse, you and your mixer, because I do want to throw that question out because I so miss Jesse's mixers. But Liam, you treat everyone in your channel with respect. When they come in, you greet everybody, you talk to everybody, you answer questions. When you're having somebody being a little bit snarky, you have a very positive way of confronting that and calming that down. Mm-hmm.
So my thing is that I believe that everyone needs, I hate to use the term safe space, but I think everyone needs a space that is, you can go there, you can hang out, no one judges you, you all have fun. It doesn't matter if you're good at a game, bad at a game, you can just come have fun. And the thing is that you're going to have people that are 8. They really shouldn't be watching YouTube when they're 8, but let's just be honest, it's what happens. You're going to have people that are 80. But no matter what you are, whatever your age is, whatever you're into, you should have a place where you can go enjoy a game. And that's what I want to bring to people. I want a fun space where everyone is welcome. Obviously, yes, I ask that you be a decent human being. If you're not, then I have to silence you. You have been silenced. But otherwise, like, I want a place where we all can have fun, because listen, at the end of the day, I think that's what gaming is about. Obviously, people want to be the best. People want to be good at what they do. But at the end of the day, like, it's about having fun. That's what games are. It's to have fun.
And the way you announce all your Patreon members, that is really great. That really gives.
Yeah, I feel bad because I don't do a lot for my
creators.
poor patrons. So I'm like, it's the least I could do for you guys. Like, I feel bad. Like, I'm a patron of an author, of the guy that writes the Dungeon Crawler Carl books, and like his
those
Patreons.
are so good.
we could do a podcast on those just
God.
on their own. I love those books, but he's
donut.
I want to get a cat named Donut.
I know.
Oh wait, are those unbarred? Wait, is Dungeon Crawler?
I don't know if they're unbarred. They're definitely on Audible, and I would highly recommend them. He's an indie author.
They're so good.
Oh my gosh, they are so good. By the way, they're good. If you didn't know.
All right, so we're going to transition here on our panel discussion. We're going to do something a little different than normal panels, which is I am going to turn hosting over temporarily to each of you to allow you to ask a question of somebody else on the panel. So let's start with Mike. Feel free.
I got my question already.
All right, ask somebody something.
Jesse, how much do you miss Mixer? And you were so incredibly good in that one. I mean, how much do you miss that platform, and what do you feel like you're using to fill that space? Because it's a void without you doing Mixer.
Yeah, well, thank you. Very much appreciated. And like talking about Doom earlier, yeah, much appreciated.
Jesse, tell people what Mixer is for those.
Mixer was a competitor to Twitch. I started it in, I want to say 2018 or so. I just, I was doing the YouTube thing, and what's that?
Oh, I just said Mixer was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it was a competitor to Twitch, and it was by Microsoft. And they were really doing some really neat stuff with, like, they tied it into like the Microsoft was doing a lot of things with like their Copilot, where you could have multiple people control a game, and you could do that over Mixer. So like, let's say that you had somebody who was blind and needed help navigating a world, you could have someone like that was following you, and you could have them work with you. But like, Mixer was just a really cool thing. Like, I didn't know if I would really do streaming. I did the YouTube thing, and I'm like, I think it was when Windows had added their game bar, and it was like, oh, I don't have to download anything. I could just hit like Windows G, and I could start streaming if I set it up. And then that didn't really work so well because there was some weird technical issues with that. But then I got OBS working, was because broadcasting software that everyone kind of uses. And in summer of 2020, it was really unfortunate because literally right before then, They were just starting to ramp up with like even doing some even cooler things. They had literally started inviting people to join them, and like a week or two before then, they literally reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to help them with some projects that they were going to work on. And then all of a sudden we just got literally for like, blindsided, just like, oh, by the way, Mixer's dead now.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
that was.
And it was really disappointing because they were doing a really good job. And
And
so
they
I
had
did
their own
migrate.
building. They had where
Yeah.
the inclusivity lab was. That was the Mixer building because I
Oh,
was actually
okay.
in there in 2018, and they called it. They're like, "Yeah, we're in the Mixer building."
Huh.
I'm like, they're like, "Yeah, Mixer has its own building." I was like, "Oh my
Yeah.
gosh."
And like I said, so then I took a couple, a little bit of break. I thought, well, do I want to keep going with this? I mean, at the time, like I said, the pandemic had started. I, just gone through a breakup. And so I was just like, just a lot of just crappy start to the year. And then I'm like, well, do I want to keep streaming? I did migrate over to Twitch. And then, I enjoy doing it, and I still do enjoy Twitch. Like it is fun, especially now that I've got I figured out a way to have chat read to me and everything. It is fun, but it's just like I said, as you heard so far in the panel, I've just got so many irons in the fire right now that I had to kind of cut back somewhere. I got a full-time job. I've got some part-time consulting work, the channel. And then sometimes you just want to kick back and do things on your own. I want to play some more drums. I want to, kick back and do, just things off camera as well. So I've kind of taken at least a hiatus from Twitch. As I say in my videos, I haven't retired yet, but I've kind of taken a hiatus. Maybe I'll do something over the holiday break or something. I don't know, but maybe when I get my computer upgraded, maybe I'll get back into it. But yeah, I do enjoy it, but it's just one of those things that kind of had to be cut back on for a little while because I want to devote and I want to make sure that my videos, since that's the thing I've been doing for so long, I want to make sure that those are, that I'm still covering things and doing quality there.
Aaron, may I have one more follow-up question for Jesse?
Okay, you're breaking the rules, but okay.
Yeah, Jesse, where do you find time? And I actually have two. I'm going to stick it in. Where do you find time to discuss so many creative professional tools like Clusive, things like that? You've always brought things like seeing AI. You've always done spotlights on things for those who are blind and visually impaired for professional tools. Where do you find time to review all those? And number two, if you had a chance, what genre of game would you want to have a sequel to? That includes fighting, FPS, building, platform. That's it for me.
Good Lord. Where I find time, I don't know. Like I've joked even on social media, like especially the last, several months, my sleeping schedule is just so out of whack. I'm like, I get sleep whenever I can these days. But like, no, I mean, that's the thing about having a day job that is still focused. Like for my day job, I work as an assistive technology specialist, and we focus, I really like what I do because during the day I get to focus on, the productivity, and that angle of blind and low vision because, we really try to help. We work with, in our department, we work with students and adults who are seeking or wanting to ultimately become employed. So, we look at, all these tools that you mentioned, seeing AI, Occlusive, Envision, whatever it happens to be, Voice Dream Reader, got to plug them because I love that app. But, all these things, there's some crossover. So as I work with that stuff for my day job, I'm already used to it. So like, oh, I can crank out a 20-minute video or whatever on that. So some of the stuff that I can do professionally during my day job, I can kind of, supplement that and go, I'll cover this privately as well on the channel. I mean, as far as games go, like I said, I play a little bit of everything. Like I said, my jam right now is I'm just a huge fan of retro first person shooters, like the 90s Doom, Quake, the build engine games, Duke Nukem, Shadow Warrior. But then there's all these games that have come out in the last several years now that are kind of harkening back to those games like Dusk and a Medieval and Proteus, and just there's just so much goodness there that keep them coming. One of my highlights this year was getting an article published in the Reload magazine, is what it's called. It was a Kickstarter project that was just based on these retro first-person shooters, but I got an article in the sampler issue that you can go to their Kickstarter site and you can literally go download that sample issue. And it's a feature article that I worked with Mr. Alan D1 on a little bit, and about the Toby accessibility mod. So kind of spotlighting accessibility in that mainstream magazine, which is, I'm just really proud of that, because yeah, it showcases the mod and everything, but maybe if you get these other developers that are reading this magazine and reading that article, and they see that and go, I've never thought about making like a first person shooter accessible. And so maybe that can hopefully eventually lead to something.
Yeah, I haven't actually been writing accessibility articles for Pocket Gamer, so around mobile accessible gaming, and trying to get more spotlight on that too. So any way that you can get the word out and get more attention to it. So Jesse, you're in the hosting hot seat now.
Right. So yeah, Liam, I have a question for you. As you had mentioned earlier in the panel, you being a game developer, like I said, I played some of your early games ages ago, and it's really cool to see, like, just to chat with other blind developers and stuff like that. I remember I think the last one that I recently remember kind of getting rather hooked on was your recent update to the the Great Toy Robbery 2.0.
Oh, yeah.
I had some fun with that a couple of years ago. Do you happen to have anything else maybe in the works right now? Are you currently working on any sort of audio game or anything like that?
Yeah. I don't have a release date for it. I'm gonna start with that because it's important that I say that, because when I announce it, Brain Station, I'm working on it. I'm trying to get it done. For those that don't know what this is, it's a collection of word and math and logic games. There's like a sort of a Wordle-esque type game. I'm probably a year too late on this now. There's Hangman. There's like an anagrams game complete with a feature that will let you get a different anagram each day to solve on your own.
Oh, I love anagrams.
Yes, there's anagram. There's like all these math games. I'm actually trying to develop a couple more games. I'm at the point now where honestly, I would say most of the games are done. I'm just doing all the housekeeping stuff, and I'm doing like all the extra like balancing and figuring out cost versus reward on games. I just have been so busy with work and school and YouTube and
totally
life.
Get it.
So it's so hard to balance time. But yes, I'd love to have that out in 2023. I'm so excited to have that done. I actually just found out a couple days ago that I guess there's somebody at Colorado Center for the Blind that is using Great Toy Robbery as a curriculum teaching tool.
Oh, cool.
I lost my mind when I found that out. I thought it was the
nice. So, I mean, on a related note, you've developed things for PC primarily. Have you thought about going down the rabbit hole of porting things to mobile that were possible?
Not really. I'd like to. I mean, in a perfect world, I would do it. If it was something that could just easily be done. Mobile brings its own challenges. And listen, if I did Super Egg Hunt for mobile, I'd never have to work again in my life. Like, I mean, because everybody wants it. And, microtransactions, boys. No. Sorry. I know.
Evil words. Don't make me rant.
Oh, sorry. But no, I mean, it'd be really fair to just be like one-time purchase of like $50.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm kidding. It'd just be a couple of bucks, but no, it's one of those things that I'd love to do if I had the time.
But about turning that over to somebody to port it and then you get revenue share or something.
I don't get this question a lot, but one of the questions I get occasionally is, what is your biggest weakness? And it is that I am a control freak. I do not want to give control of any of my stuff to anyone. It's something that I've had to work on, but I just cannot be like, hey, port this. Because like, to me, it's like, it's mine. I worked on it. I'm one of those people where I'm like, if I want it done right, do it myself. It's it's not the best way to feel about life, but it's how I am. I'm just like, I want it done right. I need to do it myself because I'm the one that has the vision, pardon the pun, on how it works. Therefore, I want to make it work my way. It's hard. I'm not a great team player, honestly. I'm having to improve on that, but but BrainStation will be Windows. I think there's going to be a really good market for it. I think it's going to be amazing. Listen, it'll be fun for teachers. It'll be fun for students. It'll be fun for people that just want to play anagrams.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't think you can lose. It would be amazing to have it on mobile. I don't think it's conducive to mobile just because it's very keyboard based, and there are certain rules about like everything has to have a touch interface and blah blah blah. But my goal is I'm hoping that we'll get it to run on Linux and Mac, so at least I can cover the desktops.
Two things. I'm gonna do a plug for the porting idea, and one, I mean, think of the success of a dark room. So Amir Rajan, who ported that over, I mean, he's not the one who created a dark room. He's just the one who kind of ported it and made it better. So there can be some real good success there. And then second, so I was telling you guys before we started this that I'm starting doing some volunteer assistive technology training starting January. And that's actually one of the big teaching tools I want to use is to find a series of games, or maybe ask the person, what games do you like? And then kind of teach them the phone through games to make it fun.
Oh, sure.
Learn all the gestures through that way. So that's kind of one of my ideas, if you will. So,
and that's a great way to do it, because I remember when I used to work as an assistive technology trainer at a former job, especially like for low vision users, the first day of class, one of the ways that we would get people used to it, we would work a lot with seniors. And it was interesting because they were used to using the computer, but like having full screen magnification was just something that was really new to them. And they're like, oh, well, I can't see everything on the screen at once. And it would just kind of drive them crazy. But then you get them used to like whatever, you get them dialed into whatever color contrast, whatever magnification level you had. But literally like the first day or two of class, we would just take them into like especially like a lot of seniors would play cards. And so they would be used to things like solitaire. And you get them to use like Windows Solitaire to just like, this is to get used to the magnification.
Right.
And then half hour in, they're more concerned about, they're mad at the game because they're not getting the right cards instead of the actual assistive technology. It was a really cool thing.
Are now second nature too.
As someone that's going into teaching, I have always believed when I'm teaching someone something, even before just going through this stuff, has always been figure out what motivates them and what engages them, and they'll forget that they're learning.
Yep.
All right, Liam, you're in the hot seat as host.
All right, welcome to the Liam podcast. No, I'm kidding. The L-cast. So, Michael, you mentioned that iPhone was what got you interested in gaming. So, do you do anything with Windows at all, or Mac, or any other thing, or have you completely just chewed computers?
No, I do like computers. I'm in the middle of trying to purchase something that would be more of a streamer setup. I looked at a couple of rigs. I like them. I think the investment is really high for something that has to be upgraded constantly.
Yes.
Whereas the upgrade cost for mobile is so minimal, and I can stay mobile. I'm more of a person who humbly would love to be a digital nomad. I mean, my girlfriend and me, we're just ready to, if she wants to be in France, I'm like, hey, I don't have much. I can put my Resolute desk inside of storage and we can go.
Yeah.
But if I have a computer and everything, we have to kind of bring all those things. She's encouraged me to look into like getting into computers, and like I said, she's an accessibility instructor, and she, sending plugs out to Access Ingenuity. But she is really big into computers. So she's looks at my skills and laughs. I'm just kidding. She doesn't laugh.
No.
She snickers. But I would love to do a computer, but I've got to find something that works for me that I can do for the channel and stream, do some of the games you're doing. Like, I love the party games you're playing. I love the games that Jesse plays. I'd love to play RPGs, and I'm afraid I just play the really like relaxed and chilled role playing and building games. I'm looking for Romance the Kingdoms. I'm looking for Civilization builds that they're starting to port over to mobile, but not as wild as the kind of the recent one, BC. I got a little lost in the jungle on that. Yeah, that was a little rough.
There was one that I covered fairly recently. It was a text-based thing, and I'm trying to remember what it was. It is super
Grim
deep.
Something. Wasn't that the Grim one? I wanted to get I couldn't find it.
No, I don't think it was Grim. No, it was on the PC though. No, there was a PC one that's on Steam, and I'll have to email it to you or email you guys on it, because I did a video of it probably like about a month ago, and I can't remember what it was called, but it kind of gave me Civilization vibe. I mean, you're running this kingdom, and it's just like super, super deep. And then if you want more of an actiony thing, the one that I released on Wednesday is kind of brutally difficult. I know Liam has played it too. The 1428 game.
Oh yeah.
It's cool, really? But man, I get my butt kicked. 1428 Shadows over Silesia.
That's that Windows game.
Yeah.
I haven't returned to it yet because it was just really hard.
I got to the ambush and just got wrecked.
Yeah. Sam. So I got a question for you, Michael. All right, here's a good one. So
hold on. Before you go to that question, let me tell Mike something. Speaking of bringing computers around, so my son, who's 18, he did this camp at the Boston University campus for media productions, and so all the kids lived in the dorm for a month. And one of the kids that was in this program with him was a YouTube streamer for, I guess, Grand Theft Auto conspiracy things or something like that.
Oh my gosh,
it has like millions of viewers. So he brought his entire computer and like 2 monitor screens. Like he had a whole setup that he brought, to max out his room. And my son said, he said, I think he bought the monitors like in Boston because he was not from Boston and he was somewhere like, I don't know how you're going to fly these. He had oversized monitors. And so like, I don't think he brought those on the planes. I think he went down to Best Buy and purchased those for the month.
He didn't bring those on the plane. He definitely didn't bring those on the plane.
No.
That's amazing.
So there you go. Just thought that was a funny story. So go ahead, Liam. But you had another question.
So you are only allowed to play one iOS game for the rest of your life. What is it and why?
Ooh. Oh, that's brutal. Okay, I'm going to have to say, hands down, I'm going to take Lost Vault by Camille Rakoski because I know he's going to keep developing for it. I know that it's going to have a diverse amount of updates that he's going to keep adding. He's sneaking in sounds. Next thing you know, he'll have ambience. Then he'll have soundtracks. Then he'll have more worlds. He's got the ability to communicate with other players. The interface is clean. Everything about the game works. Next thing you know, he'll have a market. We can trade and buy things. So yeah, if I have to just have one game, and I'm always sneaking away, doctor appointments, swinging by the mobile store, taking care of business. Like I'm at Kaiser, I'm sitting there playing Lost Vault, and people are like, "What are you playing?" I'm playing an MMO. They're like, "Oh, you're playing Warcraft?" I'm like, "Oh, sort of." And yeah, I'd play Lost Vault 100%.
All right,
that's an awesome question.
And really quick, I just quick looked on my channel real quick, and it was War Sim. It's a PC game.
Yes.
Holy Lord, that thing is deep, and I don't know when I'm going to find time to play that thing.
Good
Lord.
It's a Windows game, but it's an older. I know you had mentioned you did not like things that were like menu driven, or that this one though is I would say an exception to the rule.
It is so complex. It just made my head spin.
But I think it's I think it's also learnable.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those things, but it's fun. I mean, it is completely procedurally generated. It is, you can play it how you want to play it. It's great, and Hugh has done such an amazing job on it, and it's like $5 on, I think it's on itch and on Steam.
Yeah, I picked up the Steam version.
Yeah, it's not a lot of money.
So it's not a roguelike, it's a procedural. So it's more of a builder.
It's you're running a kingdom, and like you literally have to, like, you're deciding, do you want to run things? Do you want to hire people to run things? You have a certain amount of resources at your disposal. You have to make every little kind of just lots of totally different decisions.
Do you want to be diplomatic, or you just want to wreck everyone?
Yeah.
That's another thing you can do too.
you only have so many things that you only have so many turns where you can go explore outside of your kingdom. You can only explore like just a couple of turns at a time.
Yep.
So you got to make sure you kind of decide what you want to do there. And the thing is, you're kind of fighting because you want to build up your kingdom enough, because I forget how many turns it is, but it's like so many years or something, and then there's like this impending doom that you have to be able to prepare for.
Right. Yeah. The demons, I think, start showing up, and you can. Oh, I love the throne room. People will come and ask for things, and it's just really funny.
Oh yeah,
the throne room's amazing.
the throne room is
It's
great.
just such a cool game, and it's really unfortunate that it's not an iOS game, because I think it would be
could.
Yeah, it'd be a fun iOS experience.
I'd like to get Ishikai'd up into this kind of like romancing kind of saga kind of game. It sounds really fun. I mean, just I'd love to play that part, because that sounds like a perfect game, especially if it's very detailed, very resource building, citizen controlly, making decisions.
But it's simple enough where you're not having to worry about like complex keys, because again, it's kind of like an old style DOS game. You know, you choose everything from a menu, but it's not like simple.
Like I said, I did a video of it. If you missed it, go ahead and check that out. But like, it was funny because I had never played the game. I had just kind of set it up, made sure that it worked. And then when I record the video, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this for like, 20 minutes, half an hour. And then it was like literally an hour and a half later going, I can't even get through this one turn. There's so much. And I was just flying through stuff. Is like, wow, there's so much here.
Definitely sounds like one of those one more turn games, like, you're just going to go play it for half an hour and suddenly
I just want to do another year. I just want
3 in the morning.
Get
up for work.
I'm still playing. Yeah, I will swing by. But Jesse, I do use your channel as a reference for that. And that is where, I mean, and that's where we're getting all this strong support in the community, because we have people like Jesse doing so many reference and professional videos, and we have Liam doing entertainment and making it fun, drinking buffalo wing soda, and making these marathons and telling people why he does it. And Aaron's doing these interviews. I mean, I feel like it's there. I mean, I feel like we've stepped into the light. It's great.
Yeah, well, I mean, I try to promote Aaron, because, like I said, I really like what you're doing on the channel, and like I hope you get more subscribers, because I love the interviews, whether it's a developer or a creator or a panel like this. It's just really cool.
Yeah, YouTube is funny, because the videos that you think are going to do real well are okay, and the ones that you're like, no one's going to watch that one, and suddenly that's the one that is the most watched. So I think
I made that joke about. I think I said that about Twitter. I said, I can write the most deep and meaningful tweet, no one will care. But if I write something about a farting cat, everyone retweets it.
So this is a true life story. I kind of, until I started the Facebook group, I kind of just ghosted on Facebook. Like, I just kind of read other people's stuff. I did not post anything. And what broke me was I went out to a dinner and sat at a table and two people away from Alan Greenspan, former Fed chair, and had an evening and a dinner with Alan Greenspan. And I posted that out on Facebook, and it got like 9 likes or something like that. And a day later, my wife texted Friday, and it had like 300 likes. And I was like, "That's it. This system's broken.
Yeah, it's
this system's broken. I'm
it's
out."
like, what the heck?
It is weird. Yeah,
that's funny.
So let's talk about promotion and things like that. Just remind everybody about your channels, where to find you, what you're working on now that they should be checking out. So plug yourself. Again, we'll start with Michael.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. My name again is Michael Gray. You can find me on Newdeath Gaming. I do mostly text-based roguelikes, builders, things like that. I do occasionally get into some audio games and get, as Jesse said, wrecked, but I am very much into role-playing games. You can come to my channel, have some relaxed Let's Plays of about an hour. I'm currently in love with Eldrum Red Tide. It's absolutely beautiful and exciting. And I'm also equally having fun just ripping John Aliff's like Beyond the Chiron Gate. He recently fixed a couple of little bugs that were being really annoying to me. And I patiently and kindly, he fixed it. So as Liam says, folks, be kind and loving. You'll get what you want anyway. And don't forget to buy the full version. And that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm all about let's help developers make games for us by being kind and loving, as Liam mentioned, and also by helping provide them support because it's what you love. So let's give them what we want by supporting them, and we will get what we want. And we don't have to be demanding, we don't have to be needy. We can just be professional, and we'll get what we want by supporting the people who are actually writing, who are doing the content creation. They'll give us what we want if we give them the things and the tools and the resources they need to create. And I strongly believe in that in all my heart.
Michael, I always wanted to ask you too, why is it Newdeath Gaming? Like, why is that the name?
Oh, that's an old World of Warcraft name. I was a mage in World of Warcraft back when I did have some sight. And my name was Newdeath because a friend said, you're always dying a different way every day. I'd fall off of Stormwind Castle City. I'd get killed by a raid boss in Molten Core that no one else got killed. I couldn't do the safety dance. These are all just things in World of Warcraft. So my mage was named Magnus Prime, which is a Transformers reference. And it was also called Newdeath. Magnus is the best. So Newdeath, and that's why I decided to call my channel Newdeath Gaming. And I was trying to be edgy back in the days in the 2016, 17, where names for video channels needed to be a little bit edgy. I would probably call myself the text-based roguelike channel now if I had to rename myself.
Well, so my group's now called Mobile Accessible Games. It was originally called Apple, iPhone, iOS voiceover compatible games, which was all the keywords I could think of, so that when you did a search, you might find my group. So I thought that was a little bit too wordy and came up with something a little smoother and concise. So, Liam, what are you up to?
So I'm going to be going on vacation, so I won't be up to too much. But next year I'm going to be doing a lot more gaming. Hopefully, more really cool stuff. I'm starting to get into flight sim now. I'm not a flight sim nerd, which I think makes it cool because I think a lot of people are really into the intricacies. I'm not. I just like planes. So I'm learning flight sim when I know enough to not crash and burn every time. I'm going to start doing some flight sim videos, do some flights. And I'd like to do something a little different than a lot of what a lot of other people do. I'm really into geography. So as we fly, I'll be talking about the places we're going over and try to give you interesting facts about them and all that sort of thing. Because I'm a geography nerd, so I love geography. Also, I'll be playing BK3, which is a really popular platformer that kind of builds off of what I did in Super Liam. Yukio's made this amazing game. So I'm doing sort of a mini marathon in February or March. There will be no disgusting sodas involved. Thank you very much. Yeah, sorry. But there will be a lot of great gaming. And again, please check out my channel. I'm just Liam Erven on YouTube. A really cool, easy one-click. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, just spell your last name.
Yep. Liam is the first name. It's male backwards. And then Erven is ERVEN. You can also visit lerven.me/sub for subscribe. And it's a one-click subscription. It'll just be like, oh, you want to subscribe? Click here. So it's really short. It fits really well on a business card. And that's why I've got it. And yeah, I've just got, more stuff coming up. I'm hoping that 23 will be a year with a lot more really cool games. I'm hoping that we're going to see some neat stuff. Listen, Jackbox Party Pack 10's coming out. It's the 10th anniversary of Jackbox. I am expecting big things. I don't know what we're getting yet. I'm sure I'll be under an NDA, but I'm expecting really big things.
Great. So, Jesse, where can people find you, and what are you up to coming up?
Sure. Well, my primary place that you can find me is YouTube, and it's just illegally cited, youtube.com/illegally cited. I do have a website that is embarrassingly simple. It is just kind of the basics, but that's kind of where I list a lot of I've got a resources page. I've got a kind of my current projects page, that kind of a thing. But it's just a simple website I put together. You can find me on Twitch as well, although, like I said, I've kind of taken a hiatus, but I may return here at some point. And I'm illegally cited on Twitch as well. But YouTube would be the primary place. And then, of course, I'm pretty active on Twitter. If that's a good place to follow or reach out as well. I'm illegally cited on Twitter, but the actual, I wish I could change the what the @ is, but I'm so far into it right now that even if I could, I don't know that I would, because otherwise people wouldn't be able to find me again. But Twitter, it's at BGFH79 but it is illegally cited as well. But
people can search illegally cited, and
they can search for illegally cited. They'll find me.
Which, by the way, I love that name. I love the play on it.
Yeah, I stumbled into that. It was a term that I just started using in my real life, because I'm always snarky about things. I never take life too seriously. And I know what legally blind means, but I always found it to be just such a weird term. So I'm like, well, people, and I kind of, every time, everyone in here knows this, like the first time you meet somebody and they know that you're blind or you're visually impaired, their first thing is always going to be asking you about your vision. And so I got tired of the whole, I'm low vision, blah, 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 blah. And so
blind?
Yeah. And so I'm like, I like to get a weird reaction out of people. So they say, "Oh, you're visually impaired. Like, what is your vision impairment?" I said, "I'm illegally sighted." And you just you get the pause, and then you kind of get their well, you can kind of tell even just audibly, they're kind of audible pause while they're figuring it out.
Turning.
And it was funny. And so I'm like, you know what? I can't think of anything. I hate thinking of names for things, and that's how I ended up with my channel name, and it just grew on me. And so that's kind of become my brand, shall we say. But I hope to continue a lot of games and app accessibility stuff going forward. We'll see what the consulting brings in 2023, but I'm definitely going to be keeping busy with a lot of the same stuff, and the channel's going to be going strong, and we'll see what happens.
That's great. For those who might be new to this interview series, this is Mobile Accessible Games, and you can find us on Facebook. We have a group called Mobile Accessible Games, where we do weekly, every Sunday, is a long form game review of a game that is accessible to the blind and visually impaired. And then usually just about every Wednesday will be an interview with a game developer or an accessibility influencer. Those come out every Wednesday. On Twitter, you can find us at Mobile Accessible Games. That's more of a kind of a accessibility news feed where I retweet great people like Liam and Jesse and Mike around things that are going on in the industry and accessibility. And then on YouTube is where also the videos of these interviews are posted, and that's just under my name, which is Aaron, 2 A's, Aaron, Spelker, S as in Sam, P as in Peter, Elker. And then finally, you can see articles that I write about accessibility for the mobile platform at pocketgamer.com under my name, Aaron Spelker. And we feature not only things about different games, but we also do spotlights on game developers, several ones that have been blind who've created games. I've also done a kind of the best 10 most influential accessible games that have come out in the last 10 years across 10 different genres. And that is in written form, but also Liam did a hosting job for me where he interviewed me about that article. So you can find that at the...
I did. Hopefully I didn't screw up too bad.
No, you did a great job.
Yeah. It was awesome. You two need to do that again.
Yeah.
Do a redo on that.
Yeah, so that one is out there, a very popular video on my site. So check that one out. It gives you 10 great games across 10 different genres, and I highly recommend that one. So again, everyone, thank you so much for doing this panel and being willing. I thought it was a great success, and I hope you guys all enjoyed yourself.
Oh, it was a blast. It was, thanks for inviting us back, and yes, it was fun. We could talk about all this stuff all day.
Yeah, we'll have to do take two.
You guys missed it because when we started recording, we all came in and poor Aaron got buried because we were all just talking amongst ourselves, and we're like, "Oh, he's here, whatever." I was just,
Well, either my mic wasn't working, or you guys were just like, "We're gonna ignore him, or we're gonna."
We were in the zone.
Yeah,
we were in that gaming zone.
Hello, can you hear me? I'm talking. Hello. Yeah, no, you guys were full into it right from the beginning, so that was great. I texted Mike on the side. I'm like, they're already here talking it up. You better get here soon. You're missing.
I was on my way. I just had to make sure my tiny little apartment was quiet.
There you go.
Yep.
Well, again, guys, thank you so much for. Hopefully, we'll do something like this again. And everybody who's watching this, go check all of these great content creators. They're doing a very interesting thing in the accessible gaming space, and each one does something a little bit different. And I really encourage everyone to check the work that they're doing, because it's really fun and interesting and different. So, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.